Welcome today to our TMBT Media Black History Month podcast. We're blessed today to be here on Saturday evening here. I think today is the 25th. We are back with Terrence Smalls, who is one of our TMBTPRO clients, and we saw a notification that Terrence Smalls did a podcast last year on the 24th, which was yesterday. So we were trying to get his 1 year anniversary podcast in, and we're glad to finally get it going today with one of my favorite guys, a very incredible young man, mentally understands what life is about, and knows how to play the game of life, and also knows how to play the game of basketball. He's learning. I'm one of my favorite people. Welcome back for your 1 year anniversary podcast with our TMBT Media podcast, TMBT Media Miami. I'm Terrence Smalls. Are you there with us, brother?
Yes, sir. I am. Appreciate you having me.
Hey, man. Welcome back, brother. It's a pleasure to have you back with us, man. 1 year anniversary, huh? 1 year anniversary. It's a blessing for us to have you choose to allow us to help you with your future in basketball. That means a lot. And you and I, and as we know, we've seen a lot together. Whether it be basketball here in the United States or basketball in Argentina. I think you've had a chance to understand what we are about as a company and what we are trying to accomplish for each player, what our goal is. But I think that you understand what the blueprint is, my brother. And so we're honored. We're honored to have you back February of 2022. And the last time you were on, our listeners will remember that I don't think the second time you've actually been on, this is your third time. But we have an anniversary thing going. I think you and I talked about it. And so tell us a little bit about yourself, Terrence Smalls. Refill the people in on who you are, where you come from. Let's go from start to finish. We'll get you to start all the way back. Let's go all the way back. For those who maybe didn't catch the last two episodes, let's go all the way back. Take us back, Terrence Smalls, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, so I live in Charlotte, North Carolina currently. I stay here, live here. That's where it's the home base, home fort, work out here. Spend a lot of my time here. I've been knowing Milton for about 2.5, 3, about probably going on 4 years now. I was introduced to him by Harold Dean. A lot of people may know him. He played at UVA. So that's how I got in touch with Milton. He knew him, reached out to me. We was talking about basketball. He told me to hit you up. I took a leap of faith and did. And you've been with me ever since. So I appreciate that on this journey. The last time, a year ago, when I did this podcast, we were actually getting ready for a combine up there in VA. I was getting ready to be coached and shown instruction by Coach Bo, who's a part of the brand, the team as well. I reached out to him a couple of days, so I'm thankful for everything that he gives us as a human being, as a person, as a coach, and his knowledge and stuff. He's real cool. So I've touched base with him. I can't wait to get back up there, get to work with him, play some pickup with the boys, get some work in, stuff like that. So this summer's probably going to be one of the most busiest summers that I've probably ever had, with TMBT, just with the last few months that's been going on with COVID life, all that.
Right.
So my time in Argentina was cool. It was cut short because of the pandemic, unfortunately, which is a part of life. So I was over there with the host team of Parque Sur. They treated me great, with open arms. Can't can't take nothing away from that. I just appreciate that. Papiche, his son Tito, Coach Damien, the other guy, the other coach who just got promoted as the head coach now to finish out the year. They were all cool. I loved them. The young guys loved them. So I can't wait to hopefully get back, get an opportunity to right or wrong and play for them or compete for them in other clubs as well. So that's pretty much that part. I know we're gonna touch base on the guy that's stuck in the Ukraine, and like I said, when the last time when I was in Argentina was with a pandemic. So that's something, that's life of. To me, that's life or death. We all want to play the game, but sometimes life hits you, and you just got to deal with it. And it's unfortunate. I wish him nothing but the best. I'm praying for him. I know his family's praying for him because my mom was concerned with COVID, so I can only imagine what his mom is going through right now with everything that's going on that side of the world with Putin, Russia, the Ukraine, everything.
Right. Well, being that we're on this subject, let's dive right in. I know you and I have been talking about it today. I think I sent you an article. You've been doing some research. I've been doing some research, and we're coming to find out that this young man is actually stuck in in Ukraine, and he's having some issues with his transportation back to having some issues with his transportation back to the United States. Like we said, you were there. The pandemic actually cut your trip short. Talk to us a little bit about what goes through your mind when you hear that this young man, I don't know if you know him personally, but he's around your age, not far removed from your age. And what goes through your mind when you read something like this and then you see CNN? Because it's one of those things that you and I talked about, and you really were able to leave in time in Argentina. And I think that if it had been a couple more days later, you would have been stranded down there with our other players. Talk to us a little bit about your travel. Boom, you've traveled back during a pandemic. Talk to us a little bit about what that young man could be experiencing, even though you're not there. Just take us back to your trip and kind of elaborate what comes to mind when you think about his trip.
Okay, so for me, honestly, and I know that like I'm gonna be sensitive of the fact that I didn't have to travel with more severe circumstances that this young man, that this fellow pro is going through. So for me, thinking back to my time hearing it, I was actually in a good groove over there. Practice was going well. I was having fun. I was competing. As the days went by, I got more comfortable, talking to certain people. I would see certain people walking to the local store or gas station. So you get comfortable. You get some familiarity with doing certain things that, as you would here, home. So prior to just having a good practice and then able to watch ESPN, the Mavericks game, and then it's like breaking news. Everything's shutting down. The first thing that goes through your head is, man, when should I leave?
Right.
And so for most people here in America, we're fortunate to live in this country. If we want to leave somewhere, we got the freedom to just get in the car and go.
Right.
Or book a ticket or call a cab, or now you got Uber, Lyft, and all these type of things to do. But living outside the country, all these resources aren't given to them, and in that case, aren't given to you per se. It's only so much that the club team can help you with or try to do, but it doesn't come as just picking up your phone and booking something. You get what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't happen that quickly over there as over here.
Right.
So for me, it was, okay, all right, try to break it down. Like, okay, what do I have to do tomorrow? Do I still have another practice in? And in my case, it was, yeah. So I couldn't leave until, like, I think the next bus was like 2 days, because I still had to communicate with Milton, who is my agent. So I'm sure that this guy, Maurice, is communicating with his agent. So Milton was telling me, okay, well, T, he was checking with me, how you feeling? Do you want to go somewhere else, and or do you want to travel to? Because if I'm not mistaken, we had a potential deal with Bolivia on the table.
Right.
So dealing with all these things, you got to take it in real life strides and make a decision quickly. Like, you don't have the chance to decipher things. You got to make your best judgment in that time. And so for me, in that time, it was always getting back home. It was always safety. It was always my family that I was thinking about. So fortunately for me, I was able to finish the practice out. Coach Damien took me to the bus station. He was in communication with Milton. That's why, I love these two guys to death, because, Coach Damien didn't have to make sure I went to the bus station. He didn't have to make sure I got the earliest bus out. So at that particular time, the world wasn't shut down just yet. The only thing that was really trending that way for me was Trump had banned all flights from Europe.
Right.
So in this instance, a lot of stuff is being banned from Europe now, but it's more so like they're shutting down embassies. So that's a different thing altogether.
Right.
We only see stuff like that in like movies, where when they shut down an embassy, you see Americans in the movies grabbing their files, grabbing their binders, packing it up in the box and leaving out the tunnels, the bunker underneath the embassy or whatever, or the garage. So for him, he's probably nervous, he's scared. Like, it's you don't know if you're gonna make it back. You don't know how you're gonna make it back. His probably main concern is just, can he get to the airport without getting harassed or threatened? Because once you get to the airport, you can kind of feel a little safe, but you don't really feel safe until you get on that plane where you're heading back across international waters and you land somewhere in Houston or Georgia, Florida, where your connecting flight gets you back in the States.
Right.
Like, you don't feel comfortable until that plane takes off from, in my case, I was Chile. Santiago, Chile was my connecting flight.
Right.
So for him, I know his mom is probably calling, all his relatives, his cousin. I don't know if he's married or fiance or kids, but, it's only certain people calls that you're really going to want to take and text you're going to respond to. Your mom, your agent, in that case, your girl, fiance or whatever, significant other, and probably maybe one or two favorite cousins or relatives that you rock with fully, because everybody else is going to pretty much ask you the same thing, and your mindset is just trying to get back. Just let me get to the airport, let me get to the plane.
Right.
And, for him, I know, like, as a human being, being a pro, this is another side of playing abroad that we have to take into consideration, whether we should take a deal, whether we should go. And that's just the life of it. We live a good life because of what we do, but we also live a life where these type of decisions have to go into play.
Right. The crazy part is like we said, your trip was cut short, so you didn't get a chance to sign your contract. I, on the other hand, have signed a contract and know how teams are. They will hold that money until the very last second before you get on the plane. And so the sad part, I was reading about this young man, it was saying that he was waiting to be paid. And man, they try to stall you out. They want you to leave without that money. They don't want to give it to you. And so they didn't know that it was going to be this bad, because I'm sure. I also read where the Ukrainian airport has been taken over by Russian troops. He's not going to be able to leave from the Ukrainian airport. From what I understand, he's going to have to cross over the border into Poland and leave from the Poland airport. Poland, from which I'm understanding, is a NATO partner, NATO participant. And I've been watching CNN, MSNBC, just glued to the TV, kind of like I was when our players were down there a couple years ago. So it's something that has my attention from a war standpoint, yes, but from a basketball standpoint and from a player standpoint and from a coach's standpoint, I empathize with the young man who's going through it. I think his name is Maurice Creek. He played at George Washington University. He played at Indiana University. I actually think he's from Oxon Hill, Maryland, which is part of our DMV. I'm close to where I grew up. And so my heart goes out to him, to his family as parents. I'm sure his mother and father were to death. So our prayers and energy go to the Creek family. We'll be keeping you guys updated on the. I think I read on Twitter where he was supposed to have been leaving today, and then less than an hour later, he put back on Twitter that he was not able to leave because of the sirens going off, the war sirens going off. So he was not able to leave the last time that I checked Twitter a couple hours ago before we started our podcast. So stay tuned. We'll be having some more information on this young man. Once again, sending him and his family much positive energy and much love during these times of I'm trying to get this young man back.
Yeah, for sure.
Talk to us some more about your trip. So you went to Argentina with us in 2020. Correct? You went in February 2020, I believe. Is that correct?
That's cool. Yeah,
February 2020.
It's been going on. That's correct.
Right, February 2020. So it's been 2 years, right? 2 years since you traveled down with us. You understand what my blueprint is for each pro player of mine. You've had a chance to attend our camp, several camps here in Richmond with Coach Bo and our Richmond guys. I think we had a great group the first time you came. We had a really incredible group. How have you applied what you learned in Argentina? How have you applied that to your game once you touch back on American soil?
So my biggest takeaway from Argentina, going down there, has always been off the court. And I'll explain why, and then I'll translate that to on the court. So for me, my biggest takeaway is because I had never been, outside the country. So, growing up, everything that you do, you think about playing in the States, NBA, stuff like that. So hearing you, prior to me going, hearing you mention Argentina, hearing you mention that, you played down there for so long, the natural part of me was excited and eager to see, but, I was wondering, what to expect. And that's only something that you can experience. So for me, I realized that over there, my skill set is a plus, but it's not so much a big thing. It was my character and how I carried myself, how I acted towards them, how I treated them, how I, even though I didn't know a lot of Spanish, how I tried to just, pick up on some and speak I learned that I heard them say, like, hola, see, trying to comprehend sprints and stuff like that, so that was my biggest takeaway for me, that they want to judge you, your character and your personality, before they really see what you can do with the ball in your hands. So that was an adjustment for me, which I adapted to quickly, because, pretty much what you see with me is what you get. I'm no different. I don't act a certain way. I am who I am. I treat everybody with respect, all that. So basketball-wise, for me, was just, I didn't know that I figured that they deferred to Americans, but I didn't know to what extent. So basically, fortunately for me, on my trip, it was 2 Americans on Club Parquet, so it was 2 big guys. So they basically was telling me, like, yo, they expect you to be like what they hear about and see on the NBA. Like, when they give you the ball, they expect you to be decisive, assertive, and be able to make a play. And so I just tried to adapt that the best way that I could. So if I had a shot, I took it. If I was able to beat my man and I saw somebody open, I still wanted to, play the right way and know, like, okay, kick it and not be too aggressive or too selfish, I should say. If that makes sense.
Right.
But I've also learned that if you get an open shot, you need to be able to knock that down. I'm going to just be nice and say 80% of the time, but at least 90% of the time.
Right. Let me stop you before we go any further, because what you're saying is wisdom. And I hope for those aspiring pro basketball players, I hope you're listening. So if you will, and I talk about this all the time, we know this, you and I know this because we've played overseas basketball. But for those who have not, or in high school or college, go into detail, right? Because for me, here's my interpretation of the American game of basketball. Okay? Pass the ball around to the open man, and the open man takes the shot, whether it be a dunk, a 2-pointer, or a 3-pointer. Would you agree?
The American way?
The American way.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in middle school, high school, college, and even in the NBA, I'm sure you will agree that the team objective is to pass to the open man, right? Overseas, FIBA rules basketball, international basketball, is something totally different. And because I've been through each level, I don't think it's fair, because you train a kid from middle school to play that way, and then once he has to become an international pro basketball player, international professional basketball player, I'm going to take care of his family. Now, like you said, you got off the plane thinking that you had to play that way. And if someone had not told you that, no, that's not the way international professional basketball is played, you would have never known. So it takes time for an American who has been, quote unquote, trained to play basketball the American way, which is make the pass to the open man. He shoots a dunk, layup, 2-pointer, or 3-pointer. And now you go overseas, and these people are running up to you, handing you the basketball, and running away from you like it's a hand grenade. And it's up to you to get a bucket out of that deal, Terrence Smalls. And so explain to these people, our listeners, but more so the youth who are listening, explain about that transformation that you had to make mentally. And we talk about the mental aspect of the game. We always say that basketball is 70% mental, 30% physical. Talk about that mental adaptation that you had to undergo to understand the international game, if you will?
Okay, so the mental transformation, and I'll start off by saying this. You know, a lot of kids, a lot of kids and a lot of guys would say that they would love that opportunity to just be able to score, or, you know, have the ball in their hands and do that. You know, that's and what I will say is that's very easy to say that you want that until you're faced with that. And
preach, Terrence Smalls. Preach, brother.
And I have to tell people a lot of times, like, okay, be careful what you ask for. Be careful what you say. Because when you're put in that situation, it's not easy. And for that, you know, for the American game, watching it here, you know, we see people like Kobe Bryant. We've seen Michael Jordan. We've seen, in this case, a very ball-dominant guard who could really fill it up in AI. But what people don't understand is over there, it's almost like you said, they give you the ball and they watch, and they expect you to do great things, and passing as a last resort. So for me, I always tend to think that I can adapt to any situation, and I know that I can. So for me, playing the game the right way is my biggest battle when I was over there, because it was one time I hit 2 shots, but I had a teammate who was wide open when I took a topside drive, which basically in basketball terms was I was on the left wing, left corner, 3-point line. The guard kicked it up to me, and the guy closed out, and I took a hard drive inside the paint with my right hand, which is topside. And the weak side guard who was defending my teammate came in on the defense. He sagged in, and I kicked it. Now, part of me at that moment was like, I just hit 2. I was having a good practice. The coach was nodding his head and, you know, like in agreement, like that's what he wanted to see. But I wasn't sure until I passed it and the guy shot the shot and made it, and the coach clapped his hands and signaled thumbs up. So what I'm basically saying is, even though I did the right thing, there was a part of me that felt I didn't do the right thing because of what I heard and because of the 2 previous plays that I had made offensively, where they were giving me the ball on purpose, and then one when I got the rebound, everybody just ran the wing and I had to keep it. So it's not easy, because think about this, right? Everybody would love to shoot, I'll just say 10 times a game, right? Any game. High school, middle school, college, NBA. You know you're going to get 10 shots a game. Everybody happy. Oh, I'm going to get 10 shots. I'm shooting 10 times. But what you don't understand is at the pro level, yeah, you're shooting 10 times, but how many are you making?
Right.
Just because they're giving you the privilege to shoot, because now you got a job to do. You got a job on the line. You know, so if I'm going to get 10 shots, I need to at least make 8, 9 of them.
If you want to keep your job.
Exactly. But it's the quality of 10 shots that you shoot too. Because even though I know I'm shooting 10, even though I know that I'm getting the ball in my hands, the ball is going to be dictated on what I do or not. I just can't come down and shoot nothing crazy. Because it's still wins and losses that's combined in this. It's still a paycheck. It's still your job.
Right.
You know, the only difference is corporate America, other jobs, you know, you make a mistake, you still get the end of the year. You still get the next year.
Right.
We make a couple mistakes. We don't get that. Not over there.
You may not make it to the next week.
Exactly. And even if you do, soon as the break is over, or the break coming up, you might be home. You know, so I tell kids, like, okay, yeah, I know you want to shoot, I know you want to be aggressive, but there's a right and a wrong way to be aggressive. Like, just because they're giving you the ball, be careful in not being overly arrogant with that privilege.
Right.
And I mean that in a good way. Like,
right.
Like I said, I still think about, like, yo, if I would have never made that pass, how would I have known that coach would have applauded that? You know what I'm saying? When I made the right play every time. You get what I'm saying? Like, but that was only because I did the right thing. Like, it might be a coach over there, you kick that pass, and he just saw you make two, he's not happy.
Right.
You know? So it's a thin line. But you got to prepare yourself for that. You got to work on your game to be able to take those type of shots. So it goes to my previous statement where a lot of people say that they want that type of privilege, they want that type of freedom, but are you going to be prepared? Are you going to be ready to do what it takes to keep that, to have that?
That's deep. Hey, that's wisdom coming from a young person. And that sometime I think, yes, the pandemic cut your trip short. You will be going back with the next group or so, but sometimes I think you have to be prepared mentally before you go in. And I don't know, maybe you can tell me, or you'll know. It sounds like you have a different perspective after going the first time and being forced to come back. It's like you have mentally locked into the objective and you understand. The sad part is, I'm sure you do realize this, that when you learn how to play our way of basketball, the pro basketball way, and you go back to the gymnasium in Charlotte, North Carolina, I'm sure you have a chance to really see the difference, because you're out there trying to do one thing and they're out there trying to do something totally different. And so it gives you a chance to see what a blessing it is to be a professional basketball player. And these guys are just doing it for their hobby. They're on their lunch break, or just getting off or whatever. Or these guys have their job and they're just coming to the gym just for kicks and giggles, whereas you're there for your job. It's not a kicks and giggle type situation. So hopefully you understand what I'm saying, and value and be thankful that you have the dreams and aspirations that you have, right? Because you know what you're trying to do. You're just trying to wait for your opportunity. And I think it's me, myself, I can hear growth in your words and growth in your the way you think. And so once again, I'm appreciative to have a young man. You, to me, I could sit here and tell these guys who haven't traveled down to Argentina or Chile yet, I can tell them 1,000 times. I'm kind of like I told you 1,000 times. Hey, you got to learn your Spanish, man. You got to learn your Spanish. You got to work on this. But until you get there and you see that English isn't spoken, and if you don't know Spanish, it's going to be tough for you to live down here 8 months, right? So now you have a chance to come back to the United States, hopefully been working on your Spanish, because now you understand the importance of it. Because same thing with your jump shot, same thing with your dribble staying low, same thing with your follow through being held on all shots, as well as, like you said, one point that you said earlier that I really, unfortunately, us as a team, we've been having problems with young men who don't understand that you are judged on your character more so than your jump shot. And you touched on that earlier. If I could, just for those guys listening, young guys as well as the pros that are about to travel with us, let's go back and I want you to elaborate and give more details what you meant when you said that my character, my actions, my energy is more important or just as important as my jump shot. Elaborate on that point, if you will.
Okay, so So I know, I know people gonna hear this and try to decipher and be like, I'm just talking or we just talking, but it's almost like going for a job interview here, and you going to Bank of America, and you have a certain CEO sitting in front of you who's hiring this particular day. You walk in there and you feel that you're prepared, you're equipped, but you're not meeting certain criteria, whether that's appearance, whether that's being 2 minutes early when they have a stickler or they want you there 5 minutes early. It's somebody says apple, you bring an orange. So basically all that goes to say that, don't get me wrong, you can be good, you can be this, you can be that, and I'm not telling you to not be that on the court. But what I know for a fact, and I'll put any amount of money up on it, when you go over there, they test you in ways that we would test a foreign basketball player coming here or a new guy trying to try out for your high school team here. Everybody know how it is back in the day. You at school and they say, oh, it's a new kid. The new guy here transferred in. You feel some type of way. They looking at your ladies. The ladies looking at him because he new. But you want to see if he really can play. So you push him around a little bit. You see how he reacts. You try to be tough with him. You try not to share your gym locker with him. You say, nah, why you at this gym? Like, you got to go over there where the new people go. Over there is almost the same principle, but in a different way. They look at you. You're going to practice with the younger guys. You're going to practice with the 14 and under kids. And for me, what helped me, and I know people might not understand, is anytime I'm in the gym, I don't mind it. I don't care who's in there. Now, if I'm in there with kids, am I going to give my all? Yeah. But am I going to show them up? No, because I know it's a level that I can go to that they can't, which is fine. But when you go in there and you be arrogant and you don't want to practice, you want to be late putting your shoes on, you got to remember this is a job interview. They're watching you even though you don't think they are. They put you in that sentence to see how you act. They watch how you walk back to the house or the apartment you're staying in. They see what time you get to practice, what time you get to the gym when they tell you, okay, yeah, you can go anytime. They watching this stuff. They're watching this to see what you do when they say, oh, you don't have to play or we don't have no game lined up for you right now. Or they're watching you to see when they say, all right, will you play this position? Do you mind playing this position? And they know they probably have somebody playing that position. But my thing is they're asking you that to see how you respond. They know what position they're going to play you. And even if they had a point guard there and they asked me, well, do you want to play point guard? Yeah, I'll play point guard. I play point guard right with him.
Right.
Only difference is I want the job. Me and him can work as a tandem. Like they want to see how you act. They want to see how you carry yourself. They want to see how you talk. They want to see if you're respectful. They want to see if you let a kid come up to you, sit next to you. They want to see how you interact with those younger kids who are on the court at the practice with you. They want to see how they gravitate to you, how you gravitate to them. Like it's all being monitored. And it doesn't matter if you go to the practice with the other fellow pros and you go 10 for 10, but they watched you the night before at a practice with a 14 and under kid who they really like and gonna bring up in their program regardless, and you didn't even speak to them. The kid tried to ask you something, and yeah, it might be a language barrier, but basketball is basketball. If you didn't even try to crack a smile with the kid, you think they're gonna pay you? You think they're gonna sign you? No. Would you sign you if you did that?
I feel sorry for those that don't know what you're saying, Terrence Smalls. But I also feel as though it's up to our team's job, up to our TMBT family to teach that, right? And so we try to share with the young men who go, and we try to let them know, hey, your character, how you speak to young kids, sign autographs, it's all part of the job. And I don't think everyone gets it, Terrence Smalls. They don't understand that it's some people think with my jump shot, I didn't miss today. Yeah, but you walked off on a group of kids that asked you to sign autographs. And that's all they see. They don't remember you going 6 for 6 in the game if you walk off on a group of kids and don't sign autographs when they holding a pen and paper. I think is what you're trying to say, and I'm blessed. I'm blessed, brother. We're blessed as a family, TMBT family, to have you just trying to help us teach, right? Because you have to know what we're trying to do and have to have been to our camp to understand what it is we're trying to do. So it's definitely a blessing to have you speaking to those who haven't gone, to kind of inform them of what's to come. But like you and I know, we had some people who tried to tell us what high school and college was like, and we didn't understand. We didn't listen, or we didn't understand. And so some things you have to experience to understand it. And I think basketball is one. Once again, we're here with Terrence Smalls, part of our TMBT pros, our professional basketball clients. Terrence has traveled to Argentina with us. Trip was cut short during the pandemic. Trying to give those that are tuning in recently, trying to give you a brief overview of what we're doing and who we have on with us. A very important young man in our TMBT family. We want to ask you, we want to talk a little bit about Black History Month. Of course, this is February 2022, so this is Black History Month. The name of our new podcast that we're doing is called The Filthy South. The title is called The Filthy South. Also, a documentary that we'll be doing. I'm talking about the history of the African American race and slavery and all of those things that happened to our ancestors, and try to talk about what we are trying to accomplish today as a race, as a culture, trying to carry on the history of our ancestors and to make them as proud as we can. I think that's our job. 365 days out of the year, we should all strive to be the best people, to teach the younger generation, to pass down wisdom. I think that's our job that we have been entitled with doing. We've been handed down. And so with that being said, talk to me a little bit about your influences. Who are some of your African American influences, people that you look up to, that inspired you, whether it be a grandparent or a father or Dr. Martin Luther King or whoever you think of when you come to think about inspiration. Who is it that comes to mind? Talk to me about a few people that come to your mind.
Okay, so people that inspire me and still inspire me, of course, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Michael Jordan, Nipsey Hussle, Barack Obama, my mom, my grandfather, my grandfather, because of a story that I had heard, at the family reunion. So,
tell us the story, Terrence Smalls. I would love to. Is it shareable? Is it a shareable story?
Yeah, it is.
Share it with us, brother. We would be honored to hear a story about your grandfather's life. Please share it with us during Black History Month.
Okay, so my grandfather is from Beaufort, South Carolina. So that's the Low Country. And he went to the military for a little bit, and he has a bunch of had and has a bunch of brothers and sisters. And so, like, growing up, for us was different from the time he grew up. So to go back and see how Beaufort was, and how it's grown up now, to the point where, we visit, and to see what, he overcame, for being, in the military, getting out, making, a home for my aunts, and, my dad, to, just working, being a barber, cleaning up the bank, to provide for, all his kids and us, his grandkids. It sticks with you, to not give up, to persevere, to keep fighting. It's just the times then and now were totally different. And I can only imagine the stuff that they went through. And, we get a sense of it, and we see it still some to this day, but not at the extent that they went through, right, if that makes sense to everyone. So right, to know that and to hear about it, it meant a lot. It's something that I value and still value to this day.
Right. That's big, man. You and I wouldn't be here, let alone on this podcast, February 2022, if it had not been for our ancestors, mother, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, great-grandmother, people that paved the way for us. And so I've been knowing you for 3 years and never knew that your family is from South Carolina, Beaufort, South Carolina. But that makes sense. You're down in Charlotte. I think South Carolina crosses over through Charlotte, right? You guys are pretty close to South Carolina. How far is Beaufort, South Carolina from Charlotte?
That is 3 hours.
Right. But it's the next state down. So that tells you, man, for him to come up to North Carolina, I've read some disparaging things, of course, about North Carolina too. But I think it lets you know how hard it was for a black man that he would choose to leave his home state of South Carolina and go up to North Carolina. However that happens, but I've heard some. I know Joe Frazier is. He's from Beaufort, South Carolina, born and raised, I think. And so I also read some other things where you guys have some history of the slave ships actually coming into Beaufort, South Carolina, right into the port. And if I'm not mistaken, some of those slave ships are either buried or sank off the coast of South Carolina, North Carolina. And so it's incredible to be able to trace our family history. I think through the United States, I'm in the process of also trying to do mine as well. And it's pretty eye-opening, like you said, when you find out what these people had to go through. And they had to go through and they had to overcome, not only live, but survive, And I think there's a difference between living and succeeding. They had to succeed. They didn't have a choice. You got family and you got people depending on you. So it's one of those things, man, where, never met your grandfather, but if you are, and you are an indication of who he is, because you, like myself, we're country boys. I'm born and raised in Virginia. You're born and raised in North Carolina. I think we have the same way of seeing life. I'm assuming that's why I was able to be invited back for so many years, because I'm like yourself. I was sociable. I signed autographs. I talked to people. Of course, I spoke Spanish when I went to South America, but I was able to speak. And so I think that's the most important thing that I try to get through to my guys, that you have to be able to speak. and you have to be able to communicate, because it makes the club look better, because they have brought in an American who's taken the time, or is taking the time, to learn the language. So it looks better when you speak to people at your club. You learn the language, everybody looks good, and of course you guys are winning games. So it's a win-win for everyone. And I really think you and I laugh and joke, but some people don't understand that it's 50-50, right? Hey, but don't get it, don't misunderstand it. You can be the nicest person that you want to be, but if you can't play basketball, then you can't play professional basketball. Getting a job has nothing to do with how nice you are. 100%. It'll be 50% on how nice you are, but how nice are you on the court? So you have to be, as they say, as the young people say, you have to be nice on the court and off the court. As you young guys say, man. Wanted to ask you some more about Black History Month. What are you guys doing, your family, or down in Charlotte, North Carolina? You guys having any festivals down there? I know they have festivals in the South. Black History Month was celebrated and is celebrated many years ago up to now. What do you guys do as a community in Charlotte, North Carolina, during Black History Month?
So as a community, we normally participate in, through our church. But with COVID, we've just been not in person. We've been like virtual. So
right.
Like the getting together aspect has kind of, been on hold.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I just kind of I've started to, not started to, let me rephrase that. I just continued to visit Black businesses, like restaurants. So that was kind of something that I wanted to take, I guess, say a part in. But I've just started to, search for, if I'm going to eat out, search for Black businesses and go there and spend my money quicker or first there, as instead of going to like McDonald's or Chick-fil-A all the time. So that's kind of what I've been doing. Not only Black History Month, but since the pandemic, since it's Black History Month, I just keep it going.
Hey man, that's a good thing. Every little bit helps. Every time some of us have Black History Month, and then some of us have Black History every day, 365, which is myself. I think it should be celebrated daily, which I do. And so even though here in the United States, they give us 1 month to celebrate, I think us as a people, we need to celebrate our culture and our ancestors every day. Not just 30 or 28 days of the month. I think that if we did that, if we do that and do the best that we can, treat each other as my brother's keeper, man, we would be a lot further along. Yes, we've come a long ways, but I think that if we continue to improve and want to improve, I think improvement will be shown. And unfortunately for me, there's too much Black on Black crime. I feel as though we are hurting ourselves by diminishing our population by 2 Black men fighting over whatever, right? So one goes to prison and the other one goes to the graveyard. So essentially 2 lives are lost. So 2 African American females fighting, and that seems to be the way now of the young people to want to pull guns and all of that good stuff, man. And so it's one of my wishes to see our young people and have them just just be oneness. I think we have to come together on our plan, and I think we have to put a plan in action and stick to it. right?
Right.
One thing that I saw, and I have to bring it up while you're on here. You're a young man. I'm sure you like nice clothes, and sure when I see you, you're always pretty sharp. One thing that I saw that really, to me, was racial, right? I saw Jim Jones, the rapper, going to the Gucci store in New Jersey, and he had to go live to talk about how he was being treated as a customer. And he says that he had about $30,000 to spend in there. He was getting ready for a show. He was taking his team out to get ready for some clothes, and he wanted to drop some money on that store. And so apparently they didn't care about how much he was spending. They didn't want his business. And it's funny because when I do reading and research on the Gucci company, and I read up to see what the comments or what people are saying, other people who shopped. I hadn't been into a Gucci store since I was a very young man. So the last time that I went, no problems. You go in, the people ask what you want, you tell them what you want, you give them the money, boom, you walk out, right? Everything paid for. I don't know what Jim Jones's problem was, but it sounded racial. I've seen some other type of ski mask that they come out with that looks like a white person in blackface. I don't know if you've seen that, but did you hear about the Jim Jones thing? Did you hear about the racial incident that he had?
No, it's crazy. I haven't. It's like this is the first time it's being brought to my attention, and it's crazy that you're saying that because the last time I've been in a Gucci store was last year. Right. I got some shades out of it.
Right.
I was here in the Gucci store here. My experience was cool. I mean, it was. Don't get me wrong. It was COVID, so yeah. I had to wait outside until some people came out. I guess they was doing the numbers game. Yeah. Only a certain amount in the store.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the two people that helped me were African American Gucci employees. They were working in the store. They went. I had a picture of what I was looking for, which was some Gucci shades. That's all I wanted. Mm-hmm. I showed them. They helped me look for it. They pulled up their little Gucci app, found the serial number, and helped me. Right. They even asked that I want to,
How about racial incidents? Have you experienced as a young man? Have you actually experienced racial incidents in Charlotte, North Carolina? Charlotte's a big city.
No, well, I take that back. Me per se, personally, just me as an individual, as a person. No, nothing has happened to me yet. Mm-hmm. But what I will say is, recently I've seen. So I'll start with the most recent thing that I've seen, and then I'll go back a couple years. I'll go back a couple years first. So a couple years ago, I don't know if people are familiar with a high school up here called West Charlotte. It's off Batesboro Road. It's technically in a predominantly black neighborhood. People would call it the hood. Mm-hmm. So one of my former coaches was coaching at West Charlotte at the time, and they had a good team. They had a guy by the name of J.P. Terrell on that team who signed to Wake Forest. Jacoby Davis, who was going to Mississippi State. Lil B. That team was loaded. They had Kennedy Meeks, who went to UNC, was on that team. Mike Brown, that went to Western Carolina. A lot of Division I guys. So that team was projected to win a state championship. Mm-hmm. So in the playoffs, they had to travel to the mountains. Not too far, but it was just they had to travel this particular game because they had a lower seed. I don't know how that happened. But I think what Charlotte well, I'll say CMS is what I call it. That's the school system here. I think CMS moved that game hoping West Charlotte would lose, and they had that game at that particular school to benefit and allow that school to bring in some revenue. So long story short, we get there, we're supposed to play, and prior to running out, there's some fans in the stands with signs. And at that time, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody can comprehend what I mean by signs at this point.
Right.
So the coach goes over to one of the security that happened to come with us. Thank goodness we had our own who traveled with us and said, you know, they got to get that sign down. Like, you know, it's okay if they want to, you know, whatever they want to say. You know, we were respectful, you know, for right of speech, but that sign was a no-go.
Right.
So luckily, you know, that they took the sign down, but that was my first incident, like, where I kind of really seen it, but we wasn't solely in Charlotte.
Right. Right.
And then the next one I will say is, you know, recently I've been seeing a lot of things like with, and yet it ties in with sports here, referees. They kind of call the game differently. And they kind of, you know, act like only certain fans or certain people in the stands can say stuff.
Right.
And it's kind of like, yo, you gonna be that blatant with it, like out in the front where, you know what I'm saying, like you're not even trying to hide it anymore.
Right.
So like that, I will say I'm starting to see a little bit more.
Right. Well, unfortunately, I'm a little bit older than you, and my research tells me something completely different about North Carolina. North Carolina, unfortunately, has been and is famous for racial incidents, and so we try to bring up some topics and try to touch on it a little bit during Black History Month. Just trying to bring some change. I think change is one of Obama's slogans, and I think one of the ways to bring about change is to address it, so that it is addressed, it can be addressed, and it can be fixed. Right. So this is one of the things that I enjoy about having our own media company. We can try to bring about change in our own way, and we have our own platform. We are on Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and YouTube as well. So we have a chance to kind of use our voice to get a message out. And so I'm feeling thankful that today we were able to get out a basketball message and also a message about Black History Month, using our platform and using our very educated young pro clients. And so I'm very appreciative, Terrence Smalls. My cousin Clarence McGill will be on Monday. So I'm sure that's why I said Clarence. But we'd love to have you back, man. Don't know if you're going to be free. We're going to have probably a round table next week. Probably just to talk some more about our Argentinian guys, and so we'd love to have you back, man. We'll call this one part 1 of 2022 for Terrence Smalls. This is your first interview of the year, and so hopefully we'll have you back for many more, man. What I want to do before we close it on out is I will have you share any of your social media handles that you have, in case you have some pros that want to ask you some more about your trip or what it's like to be part of our TMBT family, or you got some youth. I know you work with youth in Charlotte, North Carolina, as well. I remember in our 3 years of being you being a part of our team, I think you also train young kids, and so you're very active in your community, giving back wisdom, time, knowledge. If you have any social media handles that you want to share where people can ask you a few questions, we'll go ahead and get you to do that now.
Yeah, so my Instagram My IG handle is NOR_ARMOUR, which is Norma. That's my IG handle is NOR_ARMOUR. And then my Twitter is just basically Terrence, TERRENCE, capital S, the number 18.
Great.
That is my Twitter.
Great. Of course, our company, if there's anyone that wants to reach out to us, you can go to our website, which is www.miltonbellbasketball.com. That's www.miltonbellbasketball.com. Our company phone number is area code 702-908-1501. Anyone that has any questions or wants to reach out and find out more about what we do with our pros and with our youth, and just trying to use basketball as a way to share some knowledge and try to teach some young men a trade, which is playing professional basketball for a living. And so, Terrence Smalls, anyone that you want to give a shout out to before we shut down, anyone that you want to, thanks for listening, anyone you want to give a shout out to, any of your coaches or any of your family members that you want to give a shout out?
Yeah, so I'll just give a shout out to pretty much everybody. I want to give a shout out to, my Argentina family, Coach Damien, Papiche, everybody at Club Parque Sur. I want to give a shout out to you, Milton. I want to give a shout out to, Coach Terry, Davon Kelly, my big brother Antonio George, Pastor Fred, my buddy Thomas Holiday. I also want to give a shout out to Coach Bo. I appreciate him for the talk we had. Coach Bo, hopefully see you soon and save me some of that run, that hoop session. And hopefully when the TBT start, just save me some hoop session against the boys before they travel out of there. I definitely want some of that work.
Yes,
other than that, just everybody stay safe. My thoughts and prayers. Shout out to, the people over there in the Ukraine and Russia who are fighting, for freedom, for their lives. My heart, my thoughts are with you guys. So just a shout out to them that, we put a stop to that and, everybody can live in peace.
Definitely, man. Definitely. As well, myself, for me and my family, our TMBT family, we want to send prayers and positive energy out to Ukraine, to the people of Ukraine who are enduring quite some unprecedented times right now. We want to pray for world peace. Is important. Peace here inside of our own country, inside the U.S., and peace within our own race. I think that's very important. During Black History Month, peace within our own race. And I think that if we bring peace to ourselves, we can then bring peace to other races, other countries, right? And so I think it starts at home, as it does with anything. And so on behalf of our TMBT family, today for our TMBT Las Vegas, TMBT Miami podcast, we will also be getting Terrence Smalls to be doing a blog as well that will be up on our social media. We'll get him to write down some words that goes along with his hour-long podcast today, part 1. And I think it's important to the young people, our coaches overseas, they get a chance to hear your voice, but also read your words and understand where your mental, where our clients' mental space is, where we are mentally as ball players. I think that's important because it gives them a chance to, if I can listen to a guy talk and I can see a guy write, only thing left to do is to see him play basketball in person next. And so that builds the profile that we want them to have. We're trying to paint a picture of educated men, whether it be a Caucasian man, an African American man. We have clients of different nationalities, so we don't care what color the skin is. We ask that each and every one of our clients represent our company to the best of their ability. And so we're blessed once again, Terrence Smalls, to have you as a part of our family, brother. You and I have had some deep talks. I'm looking forward to our continued talks. I'm looking forward to hopefully going down with this next group, snagging you one of these contracts that you and I know are available. I think Omar Briggs last time, he had a great shot at snagging one, but we weren't able to get him signed. But hopefully you and he will be traveling back together. That would be a dream team for me to have, Terrence Small, with you and Omar Briggs traveling together. I'm playing the 1 and the 4 or 5. That would really be a nice team. We've been talking about it, so hopefully, God willing, we'll be able to add a few more pieces and get the right group of guys down there. So for all of our TMBT family, we'll be signing off tonight. Today is the 25th of February, 2022. For all of our listeners, for our special guest, on his 1-year anniversary, Terrence Smalls. We'd like to thank everyone for listening. Please stay tuned. We'll be having some more podcasts tomorrow, as well as all this week, closing out Black History Month. And our next guest this weekend on Monday, I think, will be Clarence McGill at 7 p.m. on Monday. Really looking forward to having him out on our program. He normally closes out our Black History Month celebrations. So we're really looking forward to having one of my family members, Clarence McGill, former Syracuse football player, and philanthropist, legend, mentor. And so to all of our listeners, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.